The moment I entered the game, I decisively chose the warrior class because I had already returned from the future. I knew something nobody else did. I possessed the only SSS-rank talent in the entire server, Soul Harvest. Any creature that died within 1,000 meters of me would leave behind a soul fragment that only I could see. Every time I absorbed one, my attack power permanently increased by 1 point, and even my attack range increased by 1 meter. There was no limit to how much it could stack. Very soon, I finished creating my character. My ID was One Piece Double Standard. After entering the beginner village, I was instantly surrounded by endless streams of players flooding in from every direction. Luckily, as someone who had been reborn, I had already expected this situation. Unlike the other players who crowded around the village entrance and lined up for monster spawns, I quietly entered a small grass hut and found a villager to trigger a hidden quest. I directly handed over the beginner spear the system had just given me, and with the villager's help, I climbed over the wall and left the beginner village. Someone nearby stared at me in shock and shouted, "Bro, he gave away his weapon. Is he planning to punch monsters to death barehanded?" I ignored all the ridicule around me and quickly circled around the outer edge of the village until I reached the leveling area outside the gate. Since the server had just opened, huge numbers of beginner players were desperately killing rabbits there. These were all level 0 newbie monsters. Even without a weapon, players could still beat dying rabbits to death with their fists if they pushed hard enough. At that moment, my eyes locked onto the corpse of a rabbit that had just died. Suddenly, a glowing soul fragment floated out of its body and flew directly into me like a stream of light. You absorbed a soul fragment. Attack power +1. Attack range +1. My heart trembled slightly with excitement. Then I simply stood at the center of the leveling area and continuously absorbed the soul fragments around me. Because there were so many players grinding monsters, only 10 minutes passed before my stats underwent a terrifying transformation. My attack power and attack range had already far surpassed normal players, and they continued rising non-stop as more rabbits died around me. While I was busy absorbing soul fragments, a soft voice suddenly came from nearby. "Brother, this warrior looks so pitiful. Look, he even threw away his spear." Another voice immediately replied, "Stop messing around. We're barely getting enough experience for ourselves, and you still have time to care about others?" The girl stubbornly said, "But he's been standing there for so long. Can't we help him?" "Mind your own business." I stayed silent and continued farming soul fragments. 5 hours passed quickly. The number of players in the rabbit leveling zone gradually decreased, while my stats became absurdly powerful. My attack power had reached an outrageous 4,258, and even my attack range had become 4,253 meters. Half an hour later, almost no new players were leaving the beginner village anymore, and the rabbits around me were dying much slower than before. Seeing this, I stopped wasting time and headed toward the level 1 grinding zone farther away. The monsters there were wild wolves. Their attack power was slightly higher than rabbits, but their HP was almost the same, so they still died very quickly. And there, I unexpectedly saw the brother and sister from earlier again. The older brother was a thief, while the younger sister was a priest. The two of them were struggling hard against a wild wolf. Every claw strike from the wolf made the brother grit his teeth in pain. The little sister anxiously said, "Brother, I saw that poor warrior again. He's still level 0. Can we take him with us?" The brother almost exploded. "Sis, are you stupid? Your brother's tiny dagger is about to snap from grinding monsters and you're still worried about some stranger?" Hearing that, the girl stopped talking, but she still secretly glanced at me with a guilty expression. Then she softly raised her staff toward her brother. "Heal." A green light instantly fell onto him, restoring 61 HP. The brother immediately grinned. "Just 2 more wolves and we'll level up. Then your brother will take you to fight level 2 monsters." "Okay, brother." But right as they were speaking, a sudden system notification rang out through the area. A giant wolf the size of a tiger suddenly spawned nearby. Wild Wolf King, Black Iron Boss. The boss's body was wrapped in a faint bronze-colored glow. The moment it appeared, the entire area erupted into chaos. Countless players instantly turned their attention toward the Wild Wolf King. Amid excited screams, huge crowds rushed toward it while long-range classes immediately launched attacks first. In this game, field bosses had no attack limit. As long as your attack range was sufficient, you could deal damage and participate. Boss experience rewards were distributed based on total damage contribution. If your damage contribution was less than 1%, you wouldn't receive anything. As for item drops, they belonged entirely to the final killer. Unlike the noisy crowd around me, I remained extremely calm because only I understood the truth. The appearance of the Wild Wolf King wasn't an accident at all. It was a hidden mechanic of the game. When too many monsters in one area were killed in a short time, a regional boss would spawn. The Wolf King was exactly that kind of boss. Only the rabbit area was an exception. By now, some long-range attacks had already landed on the Wolf King. Every player stared excitedly, hoping their attacks could deal damage because that meant the boss could actually be killed. But what happened next left everyone dumbfounded. After countless ranged attacks landed on the Wild Wolf King, only tiny damage numbers floated above its head. Most attacks dealt only 2 or 3 points of damage, while nearly 98% of the attacks were completely absorbed without effect. The surrounding players were instantly stunned, but I alone understood why. The damage system in this game was completely different from traditional games. If your attack couldn't break the target's defense, then you simply could not deal damage at all. Not even forced damage existed. At that moment, the player's attacks finally enraged the Wolf King. It suddenly let out a furious howl as its massive claws swept violently toward the crowd in front of it. The warriors standing closest were instantly sent flying. One especially unlucky player even dropped a piece of equipment after dying, only for another quick-handed thief nearby to immediately snatch it away. "Fight my ass! We can't even break its defense! Who the hell can tank this thing?" The crowd instantly descended into chaos. Watching the players get beaten into complete panic by the boss, I simply sneered coldly. Watching the players scatter in panic after getting crushed by the boss, I let out a cold sneer and slowly walked toward the Wild Wolf King. Someone immediately shouted, "Has he gone crazy?" At the same time, the Wolf King also noticed me, and a trace of disdain flashed through its eyes. In its view, I was just another weak human foolish enough to challenge it alone. The players who had been desperately retreating all froze in shock, especially the brother and sister from before. Their eyes widened as they stared at me in disbelief. Then, right in front of everyone, I calmly raised my bowless hand and attacked. Almost instantly, the system notification exploded beside my ears. "World announcement! Because you are the first player on the server to kill a Black Iron boss, your reputation has increased. You have obtained a rare equipment reward. You have obtained the unique title, Pioneer. Because you are the first player on the server to kill a boss monster, your name will spread throughout the entire Origin continent. Would you like to hide your identity?" I immediately chose to hide my name. The next second, another full server announcement sounded across the entire game. Every player in the world only had one thought in their minds. Who exactly was One Piece Double Standard, and how could they contact him? While everyone was still trapped in shock, I moved at top speed, collected all the drops on the ground, and disappeared from the crowd without even turning back. Soon, I hid inside a corner of the beginner village and started checking my rewards. I directly added all 10 stat points from leveling into physique, then shifted my gaze toward the glowing green item inside my inventory. Exquisite wild wolf boots. Because I was the first kill, the Black Iron boss had actually dropped a bronze-grade piece of equipment. Unfortunately, I was only level 2, so I still couldn't equip it yet. Besides the bronze equipment, there was also a silver treasure chest waiting unopened. I took a deep breath and slowly opened it. Instantly, a silver-white glow burst out before my eyes. Silver grade weapon obtained. Gale Longbow. Gale Longbow. Silver grade. Attack range plus 50. Attack speed plus 10%. Active skill. Gale Carnival. After activation, attack speed increases to 200% for 10 seconds. Cooldown, 1 hour. My eyes instantly lit up. This weapon perfectly matched my talent. Right now, my biggest weakness was attack speed. As long as my firing speed increased, my leveling efficiency would rise explosively. After putting away the Gale Longbow, I disguised myself like an ordinary newbie, and quietly blended into the leveling zones again. I directly skipped the Wildcat area and headed toward the farther Wild Dog grinding zone. There were still plenty of players there, although the density was noticeably lower than before. I casually found a crowded area and pretended to attack monsters every now and then while secretly absorbing soul fragments non-stop. Just as I was peacefully farming souls, a small figure suddenly ran up beside me. "Great God, it's really you," I calmly replied. "You've mistaken me for someone else." "Impossible. I've been watching you for a long time. You're definitely One Piece Double Standard. You really recognize the wrong person. You don't have to lie to me. I remember your silhouette perfectly." "Great God, can you add me as a friend? If you ever need help farming in the future, you can call me anytime. I bought lots of potions, and my brother is super useful too. If you need errands done, I can make him help you." As she spoke, she pointed toward the distance where her brother was currently being beaten badly by a monster. "Yaoyao, I'm dying. Heal me quickly." Hearing that, the girl casually raised her staff. A green light instantly descended onto her brother's head. HP plus 88. I was slightly surprised. Such high healing. At this stage of the game, normal priests could only heal around 40 HP, but this girl named Yaoyao could actually heal 88. "Fine, add me as a friend." Her face instantly brightened. "I already sent the request. My ID is Yaoyao." The moment I heard that name, my heart shook slightly. Yaoyao, one of the 3 great healers from my previous life. The famous Cloud Milk Yaoyao, known as the Human Fountain. But the Yaoyao from my memories had always carried a cold and distant aura. The silly, innocent-looking girl in front of me felt completely different. Then another thought suddenly crossed my mind. If she was really Cloud Milk Yaoyao, then her brother must be that famous berserker from the previous timeline. "Is your brother's ID Yuyan?" She blinked in surprise. "You know my brother?" As expected, the future top berserker who dominated the gaming world. I remembered that his talent was movement speed enhancement. Honestly, he was quite a useful tool. Thinking about that, the corners of my mouth slowly curved upward as I looked at Yaoyao with much greater interest. After chatting with her for a while, I quietly left the wild dog grinding area. By now, most players had already reached level 3. Some top players were already approaching level 5. I clearly remembered that the first player to reach level 5 could trigger a hidden mission inside the beginner village, and the reward from that quest would provide a massive advantage for future leveling. More importantly, over 6 hours had already passed since the server opened. Because I was using a beginner game helmet, my online time limit was only 8 hours. That meant I had less than 2 hours left to push myself to level 5 and accept that hidden quest. As long as I received the quest today, I could complete it tomorrow after logging back in. I glanced at my talent stats. My soul harvest stacks had already exceeded 6,000. I now possessed more than 6,000 attack power and over 6,000 meters of attack range. At this stage of the game, I could instantly kill practically any monster. Using my knowledge of the beginner map, I directly skipped every leveling area below level 9 and headed straight toward the level 10 zone near the outskirts of the beginner village. This place was a massive valley filled with brutal bears. These monsters had terrifying HP and defense, but their movements were slow, and their combat techniques were extremely clumsy. Normally, players had to carefully lure them one by one, but for me, none of that mattered because of my absurd attack range. I didn't even need to enter the valley. Instead, I climbed onto a high rocky slope nearby. From there, I could overlook the entire Brutal Bear Valley, and every monster below was still within my attack range. I unequipped the beginner weapon, and finally equipped the Silvergrade Gale longbow. The moment I pulled back the bowstring, a sharp whistle tore through the air. One arrow instantly pierced a Brutal Bear's body with perfect accuracy. Brutal Bear HP minus 6,111. In a single hit, the bear's massive HP bar emptied completely. You killed a Brutal Bear, EXP plus 180. Without even pausing, I calmly pulled the bowstring once again and aimed toward the next target below. You killed a Brutal Bear, EXP plus 180. After that, I completely turned into a ruthless killing machine. Every time I pulled the bowstring, another Brutal Bear instantly collapsed. My experience bar rose at an insane speed, and before long, I successfully reached level 5. The moment my level increased, another system notification echoed through my ears. Congratulations, you are the first player to reach level 5. Your strength has earned the recognition of the Beginner Village Chief. You may now visit the village chief of Beginner Village number 3 to receive a hidden mission. My heart trembled slightly. It finally came. Without hesitation, I crushed a return scroll and instantly teleported back to the beginner village. I quickly found the village chief. The old man looked at me seriously and said, "I happen to have an extremely important mission that requires your help. Are you willing to accept it?" I nodded immediately. "I'm willing." The village chief smiled with satisfaction. Good, good. I truly did not misjudge you. Inside the volcano, west of the village lives a flame demon. I need you to defeat it and seal it using this scroll. You have accepted the unique hidden quest, Volcano Demon. Quest description. Within the blazing volcano, located at the westernmost region of the beginner land, resides a flame demon. Use the sealing scroll to seal the demon. Time limit, 3 days. I glanced at the remaining game time. There were only a little over 10 minutes left before my 8-hour limit ended. As a unique quest, once I accepted it, nobody else in the server could receive it from the village chief anymore. I finally relaxed a little. After taking off the game helmet, I realized my body was already exhausted from playing all night. I casually cooked a bowl of instant noodles, finished eating, and immediately collapsed onto the bed. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, midnight arrived. A flash of light appeared before my eyes as I logged back into the game. I was still standing inside the village chief's house where I had logged out earlier. I checked the game timer. Since I still had 16 minutes remaining when I logged out earlier, my total game time now became 8 hours and 16 minutes. The maximum accumulated online time was 16 hours. Anything beyond that wouldn't stack anymore. After logging in, the unique mission still quietly rested inside my quest panel. During the daytime, I had already carefully recalled every detail about this hidden mission from my previous life, so I already had a rough plan in mind. But before starting that quest, there was something even more important to do. I was already level 5, which meant I finally met the requirements to upgrade my common skills. Every class in the game learned a basic skill upon choosing their profession. For archers, the beginner skill was single shot. After upgrading, it could evolve into double shot. I immediately headed toward the archer instructor inside the village and spent 100 copper coins to upgrade single shot into double shot. Then I opened my friends list. The only name there was still Yaoyao Gets Carsick. She was online. I immediately sent her a message. "There's a mission. Wanna come?" Meanwhile, at the wild boar grinding zone, Yaoyao was lazily leaning against a tree while playing with her beginner staff. Not far away, her thief brother Yuyan was desperately fighting wild boars until his dagger practically sparked from overuse. The sudden game notification sound startled Yaoyao, and when she saw my name, her eyes instantly brightened. "It's One Piece double standard." She immediately replied excitedly, Okay. Being able to do a mission with Great God Makes me super happy already. I smiled slightly. Send me your coordinates. I'll come find you. She immediately sent her location. I quickly followed the coordinates and soon found her. The moment she saw me, the little girl excitedly waved her pale arms while jumping up and down. Over here! Over here! I casually said, leveling here is too slow. I'll take you somewhere faster. Without wasting time, I directly invited her into my party. Okay, I'll go with you. She didn't even hesitate before instantly leaving her brother's party and joining mine instead. Meanwhile, Yaoyao was still focused on fighting wild boars and didn't notice anything until after he killed one and realized he gained no experience. Only then did he finally notice his sister was gone. Yaoyao, where are you? Why did you leave without telling me? Yaoyao innocently replied, I already joined Great God Double Standards Party. He's taking me to a higher level grinding area. What? Yuyan nearly exploded. Yaoyao, you stupid girl. Be careful of bad people. Listen to your brother and come back. Even though this was just a game, there was no way he would casually let his little sister follow some random stranger. In his heart, he had already decided that after this, he absolutely had to warn me properly. That bastard One Piece double standard didn't even add me as a friend. And now he stole my sister away? Of course, I had no idea about Yuyan's mental breakdown. I simply brought Yaoyao straight back to the Brutal Bear Valley where I had farmed earlier. Looking at the terrifying monsters below, Yaoyao nervously swallowed. Great God, are you taking me to fight level 10 monsters? Can we really beat them? I only smiled without answering. Standing atop the cliff, I calmly pulled back the Gale longbow. Brutal Bear HP, minus 6,200. The arrow tore through the air and instantly pierced a Brutal Bear below. The massive monster collapsed on the spot. You killed a Brutal Bear, EXP plus 75. You absorbed a soul fragment. Attack power plus 1, attack range plus 1. Beside me, Yaoyao watched the entire process with her mouth hanging wide open, almost enough to fit an egg inside. She had imagined countless ways I might kill monsters, but she never expected I could casually snipe level 10 monsters from hundreds of meters away. He's so strong. My brother isn't even close to him. I ignored Yaoyao's shock completely. At this point, I had already equipped the Gale longbow again and started rapidly firing non-stop. Each Brutal Bear provided 75 experience points, while leveling up required 6,000 EXP. There was no helping it. If I wanted to quickly complete the unique quest later, I needed absolute strength. Bringing Yaoyao along also wasn't a bad thing. Sharing some experience with her would help her reach level 5 faster, which would be very useful later. Under my terrifying farming speed, Yaoyao's experience bar began skyrocketing at a visible rate. Finally, after another wave of monsters died, a golden light flashed around her body. She had reached level 5. Yaoyao looked completely dazed. I'm level 5 already? Yesterday, her brother had nearly broken his dagger-grinding monsters all day, yet he still hadn't leveled this fast. But even after hearing her shocked voice, I never stopped drawing the bowstring. I continued firing arrows mercilessly at the Brutal Bears below, while calmly saying, if there's nothing else, go down and collect the equipment. Okay. Yaoyao immediately responded excitedly before running toward the valley beneath us. Last time, I had been in too much of a hurry to return to the village and had abandoned an entire field of drops. This time, I definitely wasn't going to waste them. At this stage of the game, even the copper coins dropped by monsters were extremely valuable. I stood atop the cliff and continued slaughtering monsters non-stop, while Yaoyao busily ran around below collecting equipment like a little squirrel storing treasures. Under my rapid attacks, the Brutal Bears in the valley were quickly wiped out again. Just as I was preparing to leave, Yaoyao's shocked voice suddenly rang through the party chat. Great God, a boss spawned! Hearing that, my eyes narrowed slightly, and I quickly found the newly refreshed monster deep within the valley. Yaoyao immediately sent me the information. Bronze grade boss? Looking at the massive creature charging wildly through the valley, I couldn't help but smile faintly, as expected of a level 10 bronze boss. The stats were absolutely outrageous. For ordinary players at this stage, breaking through its defense would be nearly impossible. But unfortunately for it, my current attack power had already reached 6,452. Without any damage reduction in front of me, every arrow could directly deal over 4,000 damage. I immediately sent Yaoyao a message. Move aside, I'll handle it. Right after saying that, I directly activated the Gale Longbow's active skill. Gale Carnival activated. Attack speed increased by 200% for 10 seconds. My normal attack speed was already fast enough to fire an arrow every 2 seconds. After activating Gale Carnival, I could unleash over 10 attacks within 10 seconds. And on top of that, I still had my upgraded archer skill. Double shot. Instantly fire 2 arrows at a single target. Each arrow deals 150% of attack power as damage. Mana cost 20, cooldown 8 seconds. According to the skill description, one double shot alone could deal over 12,000 damage to the Brutal Bear Guardian. I calmly raised my bow, instantly connected into double shot, and then activated Gale Carnival before unleashing a storm of arrows. 8 seconds later, I used double shot again. Hidden behind the Brutal Bear Guardian, Yaoyao could only stare blankly as dense damage numbers exploded above the boss's head non-stop. Its HP bar looked like water leaking from a broken dam, as it plummeted at terrifying speed until finally, boom. The enormous bronze boss collapsed heavily onto the ground. Yaoyao completely froze. She originally thought killing the Black Iron boss before had already been unbelievably insane, but now I had actually solo killed a bronze boss like it was nothing. At that moment, the system notifications erupted again beside my ears. Congratulations, you killed the bronze grade boss, Brutal Bear Guardian. Your level has increased to level 8. Because you are the first player on the server to kill a bronze boss, your reputation has increased by 30. You obtained a gold grade equipment selection chest. You obtained 30 free attribute points. You obtained one self-selected common class skill book. Your name will spread throughout the entire Origin continent. Would you like to hide your identity? I naturally chose to hide it again. But even so, the full server announcement still exploded throughout the game world. Player One Piece Double Standard and player Yaoyao Gets Carsick are the first players to kill a bronze boss. The entire server instantly erupted. Countless players who were grinding monsters stopped dead in their tracks. What the hell, a bronze boss already? Isn't that supposed to be a level 10 boss? Meanwhile, at the wild boar grinding area, Yuyan was still crazily sending messages to his sister when he suddenly froze after seeing the announcement. He originally thought his little sister had been tricked by some weirdo, but now it turned out she had actually gone to kill a bronze boss. And she even succeeded. At that moment, he finally realized one terrifying fact. This One Piece double standard truly had monstrous strength. But then another thought instantly entered his mind. My little sister is still with that guy. Yaoyao, where are you right now? I'm coming over. Yaoyao immediately replied happily. Brother, don't come. I'm already with Great God now. He's even going to help me get priest skills later. Back inside the beginner village, I brought Yaoyao directly to the priest instructor and helped her upgrade her healing skill. After the upgrade, I also handed over one of the boss drops to her. Earth Vein Necklace, bronze grade. Magic power plus 10. Mana recovery speed plus 30%. With this necklace, Yaoyao's endurance as a healer would increase tremendously. And for the unique quest I was about to challenge next, having a strong healer beside me would be extremely important. The rewards from the Brutal Bear Guardian were incredibly important for my upcoming unique mission. Among them was a piece of equipment that immediately caught my attention. Guardian leather armor, silver grade. Passive effect. When receiving a fatal attack for the first time, survive with 1 HP remaining. For someone like me whose body was naturally fragile as an archer, this effect was unbelievably useful. At the very least, it made my tiny body a little sturdier. Besides the equipment, the Brutal Bear Guardian had also dropped more than 600 copper coins. I casually split part of it with Yaoyao before immediately using the self-selected common skill book. Since it was a selectable version, I naturally chose one of the archer class's strongest early game skills without hesitation. Split arrow. After hitting a target, the arrow splits into 3 additional arrows that automatically attack nearby enemies. Each split arrow deals 80% of attack power as physical damage. The split attack range equals 50% of the original range. Toggleable. Passive skill. Cooldown. 1 second. No mana consumption. Before level 10, this was practically the only true AoE skill available to archers, and it was extremely practical. More importantly, it perfectly suited my current situation. Players were no longer packed together like they were during server launch, so I couldn't continue relying on huge crowds farming monsters for me anymore. At this stage, most players killed monsters slower than I could personally shoot them down myself. Split arrow perfectly solved that problem. After choosing the skill, I immediately opened the gold equipment selection chest. I carefully searched through countless options before finally selecting a ring. Swift Intercept Ring, gold grade. Passive effect. Every successful attack or skill activation within 3 seconds grants 1 stack of Swift Force. Each stack increases attack speed by 10%, stacking up to 8 times. In other words, as long as I maintained my attack rhythm, my firing speed could become nearly double my normal speed. And if I combined that with Gale Carnival's active effect later, then during those 10 seconds, my attack speed would become nearly 4 times faster than usual. At the current stage of the game, absolutely no boss would be able to withstand that level of burst damage. After equipping the Swift Intercept Ring, I went to the weapon shop and replenished 2,000 arrows. Then I called Yaoyao and prepared to head outside the village to complete the unique mission. Not long after we left, Yuyan hurriedly rushed back to the village. He searched everywhere but couldn't find his little sister. Yaoyao, where are you? Damn it, did that bastard kidnap my sister? Meanwhile, outside the village, Yaoyao and I were already traveling west together. Along the way, every monster I saw was casually killed with a single arrow. I didn't even bother picking up the dropped equipment or copper coins anymore. Right now, I only cared about continuously stacking my talent. As we walked, Yaoyao suddenly sighed softly. If only my brother were here too. He runs really fast. Carrying equipment wouldn't even be tiring for him. The moment I heard that, my heart suddenly moved. She was right. Yuyan might not be exceptional in other areas, but when it came to running, he was absolutely top tier. Recently, my attack range had become more and more outrageous. Every time equipment dropped, I had to waste a huge amount of time running back and forth to collect it. But if someone specialized in helping me pick up loot, Yaoyao, where's your brother right now? Him? He's still in the beginner village. Why? Send him our coordinates and tell him to come over. Yaoyao obediently sent the coordinates immediately. Okay, let's continue moving. With Yuyan's speed, he'll catch up very quickly. Sure enough, less than 5 minutes later, Yaoyao happily informed me that her brother had arrived nearby. Hearing that, I stopped walking and turned around. In the distance, a black figure was rushing toward us at unbelievable speed. Yuyan's legs were practically leaving after images behind. It was obvious he hadn't dared waste even a second on the road here. The moment he got close, he immediately pointed at me angrily. You bastard! Stay away from my sister, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Before he could finish speaking, one of my arrows instantly shot past him and landed on a small deer monster not far away. The deer's HP instantly emptied as it collapsed onto the ground on the spot.